I think I know most of you, but I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Bonnie Powers from Academic Technology. I support all faculty and academic staff across the university with my team, and I offer a lot of trainings and workshops to help you guys with whatever you're working on, remote teaching, building community. Today we're talking about how to build community in your class or in your cohort or in your program. You might all have a different view of what you're thinking about. So we're going to do some brainstorming together. And I have put a link to my slide document in the chat, and that is editable by you. So as we're looking at each slide and brainstorming, if instead of speaking up, you want to type your response in a bullet on the page, you are welcome to. If people say things out loud, I'll be taking notes on that slideshow, and I'll make that slideshow available after with all the notes and the things we talk about. So I'm going to go into sharing my screen with my document on it. And so if you can use your voice to let me know, because I don't have a way of seeing more than a couple of you at a time, and I want to move my videos down to the bottom so they don't get in the way of your slides. So I want to start our conversation today, and it is more of a conversation. I don't have magic bullets and answers. I do have some thoughts and ideas, and I hope you all will too. But when we talk about building community, what's the difference between just a group of people and a community of people? What does that mean to you? Feel free to type, open your mic, and shout it out.
I think it's cohesion.
Okay, cohesion.
Which I mean is like the attractiveness of a group.
Okay.
You want to be there. Oh, this is Letitia, by the way.
Okay, great.
I would say welcoming and safety.
We feel connected to each other.
I would say collaborative and supportive.
Okay. So all of these, they're not about simply the act of being in the same place, but being together in some way, maybe remotely, maybe digitally, not necessarily physically. All right, so if that's the case, go ahead.
I was just going to be a little oppositional and say that this is all very positive, but I don't know that it always has to be so warm and fuzzy to be a community. I think you can have a community. The idea is somehow there's something connecting people. There's some sort of relationship, but I don't know that it's always welcoming, safe, and supportive. Sorry to be Debbie Downer.
No, I agree with that. And I think that every community needs a good container for conflict, because you need to be able to welcome conflict and deal with the things that come up, and at the same time, not have it split the community apart. So.
I totally appreciate that. All right, so it doesn't have to be a positive. Communities may have dissonance, conflict. Kathy, do you want to clarify more? I don't want to misappropriate your words.
No, it doesn't even have to be dissonance or conflict. You know, I live in a community, and my relationship to them is they live in the same community. And, you know, I mean, that it's it can be neutral. It can be positive. It can be negative. I just don't think it has to be defined by warm and fuzzy relationships. That's
Okay.
but whatever, that's fine. Whatever you've got there is fine.
And it also depends on the stages of the community of people. When they first get together, they probably feeling their way. So trust level probably is lower, but once they get to know each other, it could go either way. They would start to trust each other more, or it could actually go worse. But there are stages of community growing.
Mm-hmm.
The formation can be testing it out. Well, I'm not so sure.
Well, I really like that conceptualization. Really like that conceptualization of it being in stages, because I don't know who said that it doesn't always have to be warm and fuzzy. I totally agree with that. And I think in order for people to stick through the non-warm and fuzzy part, maybe at first, maybe at the beginning, even if you don't want to call it, positive, I think that there has to be some reason why people need to get something out of a community for there to be a community versus just a collection of people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would put like something, you get something out of, part of why people want to be part of something is they get something out of it versus like just, a place where we live or any group.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So I will flip back and forth. We'll be looking at these again. And I suppose in developing a community, we want a healthy community. And so as we look toward how we might do that, we can address some of these challenges that we've listed. A community isn't always positive. It may have a neutral. So feel free, if you are in the document, you can attribute what you said to yourself and put your name next to it if you want. You don't have to. Feel free to tweak what I've written. These are, just imperfect notes of what I think I'm hearing. So if we are able to create a healthy community, what would indicate, how would we know that we had done that? Let's talk specifically about in this remote environment. What are some things that would tell us we're doing okay, or at least getting started in the right direction?
Sense of engagement. People are interested in pursuing the common goal. They're eager to get together rather than feeling disinterested.
Yes, I really like what Anna said. If that's the person that said that, I don't know.
Yes,
It was.
Because the thing that came to my mind was, and there's no real way to measure this, but that excitement that you would get when you know you have to log on to your class versus that sense of dread. And I think that's what you were talking about when you said engagement.
Yes, yes.
Because we all know it when we feel it, but it's hard to measure it.
That's right. In a class, you can tell the face. It's easier when we meet them face to face, but even online, you can tell that they're looking away, they're not thinking. I mean, but when they're involved, you can see the sense of excitement. They all participate in it. Still have to see that excitement in my class, so I'm learning here.
For me, I think what it would look like is a lot of interaction. What I don't want is a class where each student individually talks to me and I individually talk to the student. I like to see a lot of interaction, and it may have to do with the types of classes that I teach. But I think when I see people interacting with one another, it's different than, oh, I'm going to see the program director because I have this issue, or I'm going to, there's sort of a voluntary increase in interpersonal relationships in multiple directions.
Absolutely. Very true.
That's well said.
And at really basic level, it's if people keep showing up.
There you go.
People start dropping out, you know that it's not working or not, you know.
How about if people share a certain level or certain depth of content about themselves, their state, what they're up to? If interactions are more deep.
Open communication, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just transactional, when is that due? You know, that sort of thing.
Yes, yes.
So that might involve some emotion or you know, something with some feeling behind it, in addition to not necessarily instead of content or, you know, just thoughts, and, you know, it's sort of an when there's a little more emotional sharing, not just I found that article interesting kind of sharing. It's like, why did I find it interesting? Sorry, psychologists, you know.
No, I mean, it's very valuable to hear that. Now, is anyone here thinking primarily of building community in their whole entire program or cohort rather than just in their class, or are people more focused on community in their class?
I'm thinking all of the above. It works in
Yeah.
class, cohort, or program. It's always good to have a sense of community within the entire program. It's maybe we're talking about different things, but it's great as a school if we can develop that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for today, I mean, we should isolate it. Maybe if most people are interested in the class, then let's start with the class. Because this is a very hard subject matter. I mean, it's not easy to. I like the way Bonnie started it. Is that he said we don't have all the answer yet, but let's brainstorm and look into it.
No, I agree that the cohort is important, especially for our incoming students who don't, you know, they've never met and they're not going to in person for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll down quickly to my other ideas, examples, and selections. I want to add those ideas. It's important for our new students.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other important things that we should keep in mind as we continue to discuss how we could do that?
I would say, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, holding regularly scheduled cohort meetings is something that environmental studies does, probably 3 during any semester. And the ES department also holds program-wide or department-wide community meetings twice a semester, beginning and end of each semester as well. And of course, even when we're on campus, you know, we rarely get, I would say, more than 60% of all the students attending, you know, because of the different delivery models.
Well, when I was teaching in the BA program, we had a required class for incoming students. Was the liberal, we called it the liberal studies seminar, but and we covered kind of some basic things about the, what do we mean by liberal arts education, but also it was really an attempt to create community out of a cohort. If we had a big class, sometimes we would even have two sections.
So the seminar included everybody in the cohort, not just one class?
Yeah, everybody, I mean, and usually, you know, we wouldn't have more than 20 or so. And if we had more, we would have 2 classes.
All right.
I would kind of wonder, and I'd love to hear what other people think on how to bring some of this in, is how to recreate some of the spontaneity that can occur from face to face that disappears when everything has to be set up with the Zoom link, and how to do that without creating Zoom fatigue as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's make sure we come back to these and or address them as the different topics come up. Let's zip back over here. I think what Jim was saying, an opportunity, what are some opportunities to interact authentically? I'm gonna bring these bullets over to this slide. I mean, they can just be simple things. You don't already have to have done them before.
Well, I always found that even in a classroom, if it's kind of quiet and nobody's saying anything when I ask something, if I put people in pairs for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and they only have to talk to one other person, it gets everyone's conversational self loosened up. And usually we can, if they come back to the bigger group, then they'll have something to say. And so that seems like something we could do easily with the breakout groups in Zoom.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you could do something like have come to your class meetings 15 minutes early or 10 minutes early or whatever you can spare, and strike up a conversation with letting people know that they could do that.
Well, you could, but I would just do it in the middle of a class.
Right. I was thinking as a separate suggestion,
Yeah.
Not just that.
Because if they make a connection with one other person, then they have that contact outside of class, and you know, then you got the beginnings of something that feels more like community. So
Should that one other person be consistent? Let them meet a few more times, or it changes?
I never tried to make it be consistent.
Okay.
I just said, talk to the person next to you, and oftentimes people sat next to the same person, so sometimes it turned out that way.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Marty. Actually, I can turn on my video too. I tried in the spring with varying degrees of success to do more of a spiderweb kind of discussion, and teaching them how to do these spiderweb discussions because of Zoom. It happens more naturally in person, where if I ask something, I'm not going to say anything more until people start talking to each other, and really fostering that kind of snowballing spiderwebbing stuff.
So can you talk more about the spiderweb discussion? I'm not particularly familiar with that term.
It's a technique where it's basically to get students to start responding to one another, so that if somebody has an idea, it's not now for me to ask another question. It's for that idea to expand outward, radiate outward within the classroom. That's basically the concept.
Versus question, answer.
Well,
Instructor
right.
question, student answer, question.
What Kathy said absolutely happens on Zoom a lot, which is the opposite of community. It's like the, professor asks the beleaguered, exhausted students, and somebody eventually who's kind and takes pity on me will say something, and then crickets. And so I worked, I would say, with moderate success. This is not like, I'm glad there's a list being generated.
Yeah, I've been told go ahead.
I'm glad it's on I'm glad to put it on this list. It fits on this list.
Was someone else joining in too?
It maybe to kind of spiderweb, I guess off of Marty's comment, and I think one of the things I appreciate about what she said was that while talking over face to face sometimes can be a little disorienting. Usually, at least when I've seen it in my classes, it feels like because there's a lot of excitement and energy, and when it's done over Zoom, like even now, like we're talking and it's more like distortion coming from the speakers, and so it loses the emotional valence when people start talking over each other. And so Zoom kind of pulls for this sort of linear kind of form of communication, it feels like. So I'd be curious if people had ideas on how to allow that spontaneity without the same sort of technical distortions that come through.
Okay. So I've been, listening to some podcasts on remote teaching, and this issue with Zoom, you're absolutely right. The communication is one way. It's you can be talking over each other, but you're not hearing both voices at the same time. Zoom allows one of them to come forward and one of them not to. And so in the classroom, they've suggested you always leave 8 seconds, which can seem like an eternity after you ask a question or after someone responds to a question for more voice. But when in Zoom, they're suggesting it doubling that 16 seconds of silence gives people a little more time to say, unmute themselves, make sure they heard the question right, and come up with an answer. And they need a little bit more time in order to choose to jump into that conversation because of the way it feels to communicate in Zoom or in any video conferencing tool versus in the classroom. All right, so what about informal Zoom hours that anyone can drop in that don't have a purpose? Just for community, not for class or similar. And how do we continue to encourage student groups to meet amongst themselves?
With one group I'm working with now, we are giving everybody what we call the home room, a group of 4 people that will be an ongoing group for them to meet in. So as another attempt for them to have a sense of community with a smaller number of people over the course of the program, the course of the class.
All right.
Mary, is that a like a regularly scheduled Zoom homeroom, or is it just open?
We haven't quite figured it out yet. I think what we're gonna have a facilitator for each of these. I think there are groups of 5. We're gonna have a facilitator for each group that is a slightly more experienced person, and we're gonna try to have them convene the groups at separate times. So yeah, it's a hope that it will at least last, for a couple of months. So we'll see if people show up.
All right. So let's move on to this one, and we can go back and forth. I think some of the interactions that we have dictate whether community feel grows or whether it stagnates in Zoom. So when we're stressed and things are difficult or not working, and everybody's challenged right now, how can we demonstrate our humanness, that we're understanding and flexible? Because I think that in some ways helps expand the conversation and not limit the conversation. So there are other techniques. How can we demonstrate in these small communities that we really care and we want to build this community?
I think this is a trick question. Because the way that we can be most sympathetic is to have less Zoom. I mean, our classes are 3 hours long, and you know, the students have 3-hour blocks plus meetings in between.
Plus
So I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but
I think that's legitimate. I think that's one way of doing that.
it's just,
I totally second that. I'm really struggling with how to, craft my syllabus for these once a week 3-hour classes. And for me, it's a morning and afternoon sessions, and it's students are going to be really, if we're doing all these synchronously on Zoom, I can't imagine being a student and doing that, maintaining that kind of Zoom schedule. So flexibility is key, and that means less Zoom sessions and more asynchronous work, I guess. And how do we facilitate that?
So I'll offer that there are tools out there, and I know we're all overwhelmed learning some new things. And it's not so much about the tool, but about what you're trying to accomplish. So I would advocate, and I said this in our student engagement workshop, I think it was last week, for tools that create space for collaboration that aren't Zoom. So shared Google Docs and even the Google Slides like this. So we're right now, everybody's being flexible. I don't feel overly judged that my technical everything has gone a little awry today. We're providing an opportunity where people who can work in a shared document at the same time can, and where people who may have limited technology can just speak up and other people are writing their notes and things down. I think doing that for classwork, if students are working together in groups, or if they're in breakout rooms, that using Google Docs for shared notes, or any tool that creates a space for collaboration versus just a tool that allows one person to put something in and do something useful. Those tools are useful, but they don't create community.
Full disclosure here, I'm new to teaching, and I'm also a doc student, so I have a little bit of the student experience, and having signed up for this program because it was supposed to be in person. I echo what everybody is saying here, and some of the teachers that have been able to be, some people are more flexible. You don't have to show your face. You can turn off your video. Some people are doing things like at every hour, a 5 or 10 minute break. That has been super, super helpful in the flexibility department. So everybody kind of doing Zoom in their own way can be really helpful, and incorporating some sort of somatic, if possible, some somatic exercise in one of the breaks or together can even build community.
Do you do like stretch breaks? I mean, with everybody stand up and exercise together or
You know what? We haven't done that, but one of the professors just says, "Okay, we're going to take a break every hour for 5 or 10 minutes." Another professor has us at the beginning of class. You know, everybody who shows their image will put their hands on either side of their screen, and we kind of touch each other. And then other groups that I've been in, like real, like in-person groups, we've done things like when the energy level gets low, we put our hands, we cup our hands up to our nose and mouth and kind of scream into it to kind of release the tension. That could be done virtually, you know, so there are things that kind of, I think, with some more research on my part even, could be done to kind of shift the our neurology or our nervous system.
Given the
agree.
stories about people not wearing pants, I would be hesitant to have people stand up and stretch.
without warning them ahead of time, that might happen at least.
Find people not to stand up if they aren't wearing pants.
So funny.
So
on one of my Facebook groups, one of the therapists said something like, one of my clients complimented, you know, my cat, and my cat wasn't even on the screen, so I didn't know that she could see past a certain point. So it's like, you don't even know what people might be seeing.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there have been many, many videos on YouTube of the inappropriate things that happen during Zoom meetings. So even just talking about them, even making them as a reminder, you know, gets a little giggle and breaks some of the tension. And I wonder if some of it, if we have an opportunity for changing people's mindset around being in Zoom by making our Zoom meetings better. I have the advantage of feeling comfortable in Zoom. When this all happened, it didn't stress me out nearly as much as other people because I felt okay doing it all the time, and I haven't had quite the stress that other people have had about it. And I was in those early meetings with people and heard early concerns, but I think I've heard some brilliant, great ideas like those we've talked about today, about even when you are Zoom, having it being a better experience than it was 6 months ago.
Oh,
So
just-
making sure we're looking at our mindset, like not always dreading Zoom for Zoom, but realizing it's different.
I was just going to kind of second some of that and finding ways, for instance, like using polls to kind of test mastery of content. But then occasionally, even in some of the more scientific classes that I probably teach, drop a random joke question in there, and you can see when people get to that because they start to laugh on screen because they didn't expect something like that. So, and students seem to really appreciate that it kind of gives them an opportunity as well, not to have to like do something outside of class that's also on a screen, but also as a chance then people can actually talk over each other a little bit, so to speak, in the polls, because they can essentially they're working together but separate, or and being able to share the results with them, kind of let them see how the group was thinking about stuff and evoke some of those spiderweb conversations.
You know, I got this tip from a mentor of mine because I'm about to start teaching and wanting to make it as good of an experience as possible. And one of the things that she did or told me I could do is, like, before the class, tell people, like, kind of take advantage of this situation we're in, that people are at home, and like, especially for the first week when people are like going around and introducing themselves, they can use either an object from their house or a picture or an instrument or something that they would normally not be able to kind of show and tell if we were in the classroom situation. But because we're at home, like we can kind of leverage that or make the best of it. So you could send an email, you could send an email to the class or put that on Sakai, like, hey, in our first session, we're gonna do, you know, something that, show us something that represents who you are. And that would be harder if we were in person. I mean, this is like, you know, maybe I'm digging really deep here to find the silver lining, but.
It's a good place to go. I mean, I'm trying to hang out in that silver lining as much as possible.
I've tried to encourage behaviors that you wouldn't actually get in person. And so, for instance, like using the chat feature and actually encouraging people to type while they're listening. You wouldn't be able to just have the same blurting out in class without it being disruptive, but kind of framing in that mindset, it's like, you get to do this now in class and you can blurt out whenever you want. And so when students were doing presentations, for instance, there's a lot of just like chiming in of support, like, that's really cool. I love the picture on the slide. Thanks for sharing that. It started to feel supportive in ways that they would not have done if they were in person.
Yep, using the reactions button. Are you guys familiar with the reaction button? There's a little thumbs up. I saw a couple people use it earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, that's cool.
In the bottom of your menu. And I will say there's only 2 reactions in there, clapping and thumbs up, but I have used my Zoom feedback. I sent an email to support@zoom.us and said, can you please add the following things to reaction? Can we have a thumbs down? Can we have a be right back? Can we have a little clock, a little timer, you know, an alarm clock? Or so if you have those ideas for ways to make those reactions more than just, you know, 2 positive things, I suggest that you send that feedback onto Zoom.
In other groups, sometimes we start with a sort of a go around of one thing that's brought you joy in the last week, or one thing you're looking forward to, or just some kind of personal something. And I haven't used that much in a class, but I'm thinking on Zoom, it's another way of kind of having a little bit of a personal connection as you get going, you know, sort of a mini check-in, like, where are you? It's kind of the things that people would share before class.
I use a whiteboard and ask them to write how they feel on that day or anything they want to share. And yet it's that they are not held accountable because nobody knows who wrote that sentence. I'm hungry, I am tired, I'm sleepy, I don't want to go to class. So that's how I start a class.
I like that, yeah.
Depending on the day, sometimes they are, I think what we have to do is we have to warm up. In the beginning, they were very hesitant. They were basically writing very expected expressions, but then later on they begin start feeling safe. Then they will share something that sometimes is pretty funny. I got a lot of them there in morning class. I got a lot of them. I'm hungry. I need coffee. I like to sleep another hour. Whole class would laugh.
I like that, yeah. Well, kind of related to that is getting there 5 minutes early or so and kind of welcoming everybody as they show up and ask how you are and have a little informal chat time. Somebody kind of mentioned earlier, but even if you don't have too much time beforehand, not everybody arrives at the same time. You can't exactly start on the moment. So taking advantage of that open space to chat as opposed to just sitting there in silence waiting for other people to show up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not even always about what you say, but how you say it. That you're open to that and you're not expecting silence. I think some people infer when they open a Zoom meeting that it's more formal than walking into a classroom, and therefore they act more reserved. But if we are clear and that please use this time until we get started for friendly conversation and checking in with each other, if we make it clear that we're allowing that or encouraging that, it's seen as a less formal space. You know, it's our classroom norms, our new classroom norms. It doesn't have to be.
That's an interesting point. I'm thinking also along the lines of what dynamics happen at the end of class. And in Zoom, you know, we just turn the thing off and everybody goes away. But in face-to-face classes, students, a handful at least, almost always hang out and just chat with each other. Just, you know, sometimes it's a time for students to check in with me, or we check in, you know, with groups, or they just socialize. And, you know, to this point, when I end class, I just end it and and trying to be mindful of people's time. But, you know, I might just play around with leaving the room open for a while if people want to just hang out and talk about non-class stuff or whatever.
Yeah, when you leave the physical classroom, it doesn't close the door to everybody standing around in there doing what they used to do after class. But if you are the host and you end the meeting versus just leaving the meeting, then you know, that's a different signal. So are there other things that we could model after what we do in our in-person classes that seems to make building community easy and natural that we could model in Zoom or in other asynchronous ways or other synchronous ways? It doesn't have to be Zoom.
Maybe consider opening the room early, 15 minutes early, and close it 15 minutes afterwards. Would that help? I have never done that before. I have students who actually requested that I really miss the time that we spend before class on campus. Many of them will arrive maybe 10, 15 minutes before that. And they will start chatting. With the Zoom, I'll have to open the room for them earlier. But then when I did it, most of them didn't show up. I don't know why. Maybe it's too open to talk on Zoom. You don't know who is walking in next. So that's lack of privacy. When you're in a classroom, you're sitting next to each other, you can talk about things. And not everyone just walk into the room can hear. But in Zoom is a little bit hard. So I'm trying to figure out a way how they can have a more so to say intimate chat, talking about the faculty. I mean, well, this professor is making us do this and that. Those are good conversation among them. So I'm trying to figure out a way, but still struggling.
Yeah, I wonder if our dislike of Zoom and our fatigue in Zoom is related to the fact that we don't have that before meeting relaxing time and after meeting relaxing time and the lean over to your neighbor and ask a question time that we do in person. Kathy, you have your hand up?
I do. I have a sort of technical question. We teach, you know, all of our students are there on Mondays, and I will be teaching three-hour classes in the fall, as will many other people. And I'm just wondering, do you use a different sign-in for each course? Or do you usually just have your classroom and have them come in, you know, I mean, you might sign in a second time, but how did people work that kind of thing out? Because we're talking about the 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, and if we have multiple classes, that could get challenging.
We recommend a different Zoom room for each class because if you want it essentially says these people are allowed in this area. If you give these people this link, only they can come in that location. And if you give these people this link, then they will come into that location, and you won't have overlap. But I think that overlap for building community purposes could be useful. So if your classes are literally 3 hours back to back, it is hard to do that before class and after class. We are also recommending, and I don't know if anybody has heard this, that if you are teaching a 3-hour online class, there are asynchronous activities that you can use and deduct from your face-to-face Zoom time. So I sent out a list last week of some direct instruction versus indirect instruction ideas, like people doing some discussion forums in Sakai as an alternative to holding 30-minute discussion in Zoom, or instead of showing a video on Zoom altogether, having them watch it outside of class, but that would count as those 3 hours of class time.
Yeah, so that's a good suggestion. And I think building a bit on what Kathy was talking about, I'm thinking about our Thursdays and Fridays, and just seeing what goes on upstairs in the hallways and the lounge spaces, and students are congregating all the time there outside of class. And so I'm wondering if there could be a lounge Zoom room that's non-class related, so that students can come and go when and if they please. I don't know what that would look like, but something like that would help with students being able to just blow off steam with each other outside of the classroom.
So if you have a departmental Zoom account, you could have that open throughout the day, or on and off each day, or on a schedule where people could drop into that. I'm sure that even you could request a new email account for your department or your cohort, so that you could create a shared Zoom space that you could leave open more often if you're using your department Zoom account for other things. Student groups can get their own email account and Zoom account, so that they can then have an account that's just for those meetings. But that would free up instructors who have back-to-back meetings to not use their own personal Zoom time for creating the space, but to use a more public, more open Zoom account that won't conflict with other things on your schedule.
Yeah, we could do that. That's a good suggestion.
I find that that's possible, but we need a leader within that group to take the action. I don't know whether it's lucky or not lucky. Very often I have a group of introverts, and they don't talk too much in class, and asking them to take initiative to start a Zoom conversation, it seems like it's a mile away from them. Unless there's an active person who is very extrovert and really likes to get together with other people, then we can rally that kind of an energy. I tried that, but it has not worked as what I would like to see. But that's one thing I really would like to emphasize, is that given that as much as we miss the face-to-face interaction and connectivity, which I think is critical for human beings, we don't know how long this is going to last. Therefore, in my opinion, is that I have no choice. I have to make these Zoom meetings much better than now. It's more a sense of urgency. And because students have already talked about, say, hey, I didn't sign up for this. So if I at least, I don't improve and I don't get better, I feel that I'm not really doing my job. So that's the reason why I'm raising with time on how to make these Zoom class more interesting, more productive, and less about fatigue. But don't forget is that there's also a cultural based thinking, is that most people yearn for this face-to-face. Is that some students actually refuse to learn. They just feel that, oh, this is temporary. So I do spend time with them and talk with them and say, hey, if you think that you're going to meet again next week, think again. You might as well just make the best use of this time. Otherwise, you will have wasted all this time waiting for the vaccine. We don't know when the vaccine is coming. So I do send them a sense of urgency. You better learn it now. And also after the pandemic, there'll be a lot of interviews that is going to be on Zoom, and you better learn how to do it.
Well, being a student who also signed up for in-person and not an online program, I mean, I hope that people will have a little bit of grace or students will have a little bit of grace towards professors as they try to embrace this technology. And I mean, I've had the attitude that I feel fortunate that the virus isn't stopping me from getting my degree.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't know how people can embrace that attitude, because I want to say, and I agree, we don't know when this is going to end.
Thank you. I mean, this is very encouraging. I wish more of our students think that way. I think I have encountered students who actually complain about instructors not knowing how to do Zoom. And well, I mean, very few of them think about that. We have 3 days to move all classes to Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not very good with Zoom, but I never feel threatened about it. But I can tell you that I can do Zoom, but can I do it as well as I'm in a face-to-face class? No. I mean, I'm talking about a 3 versus to an 8. So I'm struggling. I'm sure many other instructors are struggling, but not all students understand it. They just think that, oh, well, you just switch. I mean, sometimes they're not as, what's the word? Empathetic.
Flexible, empathetic.
Yeah, that's right.
Have those instructors who have been teaching for a while have stories or experiences that students have been very flexible and understanding with them about learning this and having to change at the last minute? I've had primarily positive experiences with students, faculty, staff, everyone about the expectations not being so high.
I think it's that it's all culture. We need to build that culture. We need to explain to the students. Some of the less experienced instructors, they are nervous about Zoom already. So therefore, they kind of like they feel guilty they're not doing a good job. And sometimes when we feel that, when we have this kind of a insensitive, we're so sensitive about it. We're very apologetic, and then it may or may not present to the students that, hey, we are having a hard time too.
Mhm.
Most of them are positive, but I do hear about a small percentage of them are not very understanding.
You know, one thing that can really help at the beginning of a quarter, and even during the quarter, is just asking people to partner with you on how they can, what their suggestions are in co-creating a better classroom experience. Because if you put it out to them and you get nothing back, then it's a little harder for people to just kind of blame others.
Excellent. That's an excellent idea. Thank you.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
And just if you use the term, well, I want to co-create this with you. This is your experience. I'm not going to necessarily follow every suggestion, but I want to hear all of them, and we get to like vote on them together or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's very consistent with old Antioch traditions from back in the early days of really even co-creating syllabi with students, which we didn't do for too long, but yeah. I want to say something about the lounge Zoom room that we talked about, because I've been sort of facilitating one of those for a non-academic group that I'm in. And I do think that it really helps to have a facilitator. And what I have found is that sometimes I don't have to do anything. Sometimes people bring up topics of conversation, and it just makes a nice, it works for an hour. That's what we do it, an hour once a week. But sometimes certain people will dominate the conversation and other people don't get a chance to say anything. And so if I just even say, what are you thinking today? Or we haven't heard from this person or something. So I do think that that's helpful. And the people who show up are the most isolated people. The people who show up are people who are living alone. And so it kind of has formed a little bit of a group out of those people who are really very committed to showing up for each other. So anyway, those are just a few thoughts I've had about my experience trying to create a sort of lounge space for people who are stuck at home and unhappy. And need to be part of their community. It's our ongoing community. It's kind of like church coffee hour. We miss our talk after the, and it's the hallway conversations. We miss those things. So it's for the people who are really missing that. Anyway.
That's great. Thank you, Mary Lou. All right. So, are there other scaffolds and supports that we AT can offer to help you, or that you can offer to help your students? So a willingness to help, I think, indicates that you're understanding that things are challenging, and I don't think we can always be the solution for people. I know I certainly can't. But in what ways can AT support faculty and students, and in what other ways could we help demonstrate our willingness and ability to help our students through difficult times?
Well, Bonnie, you're doing a great job. I mean, you have been my best support. I sent you questions anytime, and you always respond to me. You also understand that as much as we love to attend these webinars, I can tell you is that from Monday to Thursdays is impossible. This is luxury. I mean, I would try to get in whenever the topic is something useful, but we just don't have the time. But you've been wonderful, and you do these webinar and then you post it online so that we can learn more about it. So I have to say thank you so much, Bonnie. You and your group has been wonderful, and I can't say more than that.
Thank you. I actually really enjoy doing this, and I hope we can be here for you all ongoing. I'm sorry. Oh, it's 1:01. I haven't been paying attention to the time. So if anybody has to go, feel free. I am not in a rush to leave, and I'm happy to continue the discussion. I will make these notes available to everyone on the remote teaching guide up near the recordings, where it says recent recordings in the upper left corner. I'd be happy for people to continue to add things and continue the discussion, especially to add sub-bullets to these. I think we had a really awesome discussion today.
I think maybe under the thing to support faculty, it seems like there's a lot that could be done in terms of crowdsourcing ideas, particularly in terms of developing community and strategies that work. And I wonder if even just having kind of like what you're doing here, a shared Google Doc or something where like faculty would be encouraged to drop in like ideas and suggestions that they found helpful in their courses and in their programs.
That's excellent idea, because even if we don't go to attend a webinar, we can always go back to that document and we can call it the best practice via Zoom or something like that. Then we can, when we have new ideas, we can put in, and then those of us who wants to learn more about it and always go back to the document and share. I think that's excellent.
So I'm not sure if you guys know, but we have forums, in our remote teaching website for this kind of discussion to continue on. Over here on the left, if you have forums, there are some forums in here. Not a lot of people have been using them. Would this be the kind of thing, or do you think a shared Google Doc would be better, Vince?
I was thinking, I mean, forums can definitely be useful. I was thinking of something that could be quickly searchable. So like broken down by like creative activities, building community, just a couple of headings that then people could kind of search at their leisure and add to it at their leisure.
Okay.
I also didn't know that there were forums, so that's also kind of useful. So I'd be curious to see how many more people tend to use those, and maybe they could be advertised more.
I'm not aware of the forum. Maybe Bonnie, maybe you've told me, and I don't remember. But no, I've never been in there. I would definitely take a look at it.
I've mentioned it in a number of early sessions, and some people had trouble getting in and using them, but we've posted some things around these topics which require more discussion and interaction versus just the how to use Zoom, how to do this. But around these ideas of teaching intensive classes, how to break up long classes, how to replace some of that face-to-face Zoom time, there are some forums in there. There's been a little technical hurdle that some people have been challenged getting into them, so we haven't been shouting them from the rooftops quite as much as we would if it worked. But I'll help people get in there if they're interested.
Okay.
I want to add that I think this was really valuable, and I am less likely to go into a Google Doc or a forum just because I have a lot of stuff to do, and it's just going to fall to the back of the pile. So opportunities like this to brainstorm with people are, I mean, thank you everybody. I mean, the ideas have been really varied, and you know, I know we'll all pick and choose. We're not all going to do all of them, but I've gotten some really good ideas today, and so I hope that, and this is very different. I've gone to a lot, as you know, a lot of these trainings. This is very different, but it was extremely useful. So I like the live interaction because somebody says something and I think, oh, here's how I could do that in my class, you know, and I'm less likely to go to the other written documents. I think it's great for people who will do that. It's just there are some of us who will never get around to it.
I agree.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All I was saying is I agree, Kathy. And then the other thing that I was doing while we were talking is I was also just Googling how to make Zoom classes more fun, more interactive, and there is like a ton of stuff. And so I don't know if I'll have time to post it on the forum, but it is out there if you have time to look for it. That's the key. I think it's the time.
Yeah, it's prioritizing. All of this is about prioritizing, and there seems to be a lot more things that are coming above the priorities that we used to have, and things are taking longer to do this, you know, the same amount of work. And then, you know, you're sharing internet connections and, you know, all those other challenges. So.
Bonnie, I have a request. I don't know whether this will apply to all my other colleagues today. I'm dealing with the undergraduate students, and games in class typically get their interest. I wonder if there are any of these games that we can use in class, maybe a small competition on the understanding of subject matter. I don't know. Do you know any? I'm sure there are lots, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you maybe make a session so that we can learn on how to do it? Because I would like to learn at least one or two. The last seminar I attended from you was about how to increase interactiveness, I think, and you suggested a few of them. I'm really very impressed by it, but I never have time to relearn. So it would be great if you can provide more pointers.
Yeah, so I think the tool we talked about last time mostly was Mentimeter, which was an interactive presentation software where students can interact on their phone in a Zoom session. Like you can make a group word cloud.
I really like it. Should I make an appointment with you to work on this?
Yeah, I think right now it's not like we have a list of things that we have a list of tools that could be explored. So here in the remote teaching guide, and maybe other tutorials and tools, is this the one? We have a list of tools. I'll try to find it for you. But if you want to invest in learning a little more about one of them, we can certainly have a chat. We're not experts in a lot of that outside stuff, but we can explore together and find something that will meet the goal that you're looking to do. If you're looking to find an engaging game about economics, I can help you Google search and we can brainstorm together. I don't want to promise you that I can deliver you a solution, but I can help you look for one.
We can work together. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So this is open. It will be linked on the Emergency Remote Teaching Guide. Vince, should we create a slideshow is not the best one, so I will try to add below the slideshow a Google document for faculty to contribute to and share ideas. If you have any ideas about what subject headings or section headings we should put on that, I'll get in touch with Vince and see if he can help me shape that document a little. All right, so I'll stay on for other questions if you have them. I'm going to stop the recording for now. And as you know, just email us at at@antioch.edu if you want to work with us on anything.